Yes, of course, we have to head over to for some parenting discussions, which of course happens every Tuesday here on the Wake Up Nigeria show. And we will be looking at child development in relation to education with Ochuko Prudence Daniels, who is a dynamic entrepreneur and professional early childhood practitioner who holds global Montessori credentials and is the founder of Mama Hill Montessori School. You are welcome to the show.
It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure having you here, especially now that school has resumed.
Yes.
Now let's talk about child's development. Okay, so my second daughter, Eliana, officially resumed school yesterday.
Wow.
Yes, and I'm very, very curious about her, the role of education in her development as a growing child. So let's start from the basics. What are the things that a parent should look out for in that regard? Okay,
so the whole of childhood, that's from age 0 to 12, a child is engaged, working, developing himself. We call it self-construction. Maria Montessori actually put it in a beautiful way, that, the work of a child is to construct themselves, and that's from age 0 to when they become, when the childhood period ends at age 12. And during this self-construction, there is the conscious part and there is the unconscious part. So sometimes the child doesn't know what he's doing, but is actually constructing himself. And there are clear lines.
Constructing based on the things that they see. And
constructing, so they are forming their personality. They are forming who they would be as adults. And it starts from when they are born. So in that, the construction work of a child, the conscious phase is from age 3, above 3 to like 12.
Okay.
Now, the major part of the work happens before age 6. And that's why, for education, I would say every parent and educator should be aware that these clear lines of development should be followed so that the child can be helped in terms of development. When those clear lines of development are followed, the child easily learns without struggling. So there are things the child ought to do between the age of 0 and 2, between the age of 2 and 3, 3 and 6, 6 and, so all of those things, if a knowledge of it helps an adult to support a child in the right direction.
Okay, so what are these clear lines that, should be followed?
So, for example, you have the cognitive aspect, you have the language development, you have the gross motor and the fine motor development. You also have the social and emotional development. And a knowledge and awareness of these developmental stages actually helps you as an adult to support your child. So, for example, exposing your child to relationships, social relationship, exposure, going out, making friends, working with, smiling. So a child of 6 months can smile, but you find some children who don't even know what smiling, they are all so serious. That's because their environment impacts on them. So the way we see education in this part of the world should be revisited in the sense that education shouldn't be all about writing, reading, and the core structure of learning, but it should be like a total developmental package for the child.
Something you just said resonated with when I was, school hunting for the kids. So we went to do like different schools, and there was just something that struck me about their particular school, which they're in right now. It was the way the children received myself and my husband when we immediately walked into the classroom. These kids were so young. And when they saw it, they were, good morning, with so much excitement, with so much vigor. And that was what drew me actually to the school. So what are the things that parents should look out for, when school hunting? Because schools.
Yes, so you shouldn't look for a school where they are trying to impress you as a parent. You should look for a school where, and how do you know they're trying to impress you as a parent? Making promises of what they will achieve with your child. It doesn't work like that. A school that is, first and foremost, clean, safe, and comfortable for the child. A school where activities are enriched for the child to play and develop cognitively. Research has shown that the child develops best when at a young age experiences are multiples. The child is exposed to experiences that helps the brain to fire so that the network at that time is able to make a lot of connections. It is those connection making at a very young age that helps cognition, that determines an intelligent child. So the more exposure to real-life activities, working with the hands, relating with others, movement is a huge part of it as well. The more exposure to all of these things, the better developed your child would be. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Prudence. It's always a pleasure having you here on the show with us. Of course, we will continue with you next week as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure, myself.
Always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. We have to go on a quick break now. If there are questions you'd like to ask Prudence, of course, you can reach her on her social media platforms at...
On Mama Hill School.
Okay, great, fantastic.